peak body for volunteering in New South Wales. Grow communities and bring people together through volunteering.
Welcome to the Local Legends podcast, where we share stories of untold community spirit. I'm your host, Charlotte Bosler, and today we're joined by Dr. Saba Nabi OAM, who has achieved incredible feats since moving from big city Delhi to regional Wagga Wagga. It was there on Wiradjuri country that her volunteering journey began. Dr. Saba, and welcome to the Local Legends podcast. Very excited to share your story. First up, why don't you tell us, growing up, what did volunteering mean to you?
So for me, when I was growing up, as I have come from India, we volunteer a lot. Sometimes we do it intentionally. Sometimes it's just an informal way of engaging. So for me, volunteering when I was growing up, it really meant engaging within your local community as well as contributing to your maximum capacity. And as a child also, when I was in India, there was like Taru Mitra, which was making of trees as your friend. So I was really volunteering a lot on the lines of sustainability and making sure that the place is very eco-friendly and everything. So yeah, I really loved volunteering from my childhood. And I've seen like my parents, they really volunteer in the orphanage, they volunteer with like homelessness people. So I have really imbibed that culture from my parents.
Great. So it's something that you're very familiar with then. So when you moved to Wagga Wagga, tell me how and why did you start volunteering at that point in your life?
So when I moved to Wagga Wagga, honestly, it was a cultural shock for me because coming from Delhi, which is such a happening city, I initially felt homesick and lonely. And then I really wanted to engage and understand the local culture and tradition. And that was the moment I thought the volunteering is the best option because I had got my daughter who was around 2 at that time. And also, when you come here for studies and everything, I thought it's always good to take her with me. Otherwise, me and my husband were doing PhD at the same time. And I never wanted my daughter to feel neglected. So because of my daughter and because of our family, I started volunteering and engaging locally with the people. And because when you engage locally and when you feel that your voice is heard and you feel respected and you feel that, people love chatting to you and knowing more about your local culture. So that was really an eye-opener for me. So yeah.
Awesome. And what organizations or what roles, volunteer roles, how did you start volunteering?
So I started initially with my local university where I was doing my PhD. So I realized that international students, there were few international students, but everybody was confined to their own like cocoon. So if they're coming from like India, they were always in their Indian clusters. So I thought it's really important to have an international club. So that was my first point of contact. And then I realized that it's always good to engage with your executives. And then there was an opportunity to be on this university council. So there were like one student representative position. So I just put my hand up, fill in my nomination form, and there was an election. I think there were like 6 or 7 nominees. And I was initially a bit reluctant whether I'll be elected or not. It was really a surprise for me when I realized that I got elected on the university council and I'll be sharing the table with my chancellor, vice chancellors, and all the executive officials. University told me that I was the first international student to be elected on the university council, which was really great. So that was my initial point of engaging within my university sector. And then I realized that it's always important to, because in the university, everybody understands and appreciate your effort, but then the options are very limited. And then I realized that Multicultural Council of Wagga Wagga, our local Wagga City Council, local member of parliament, they were really eager to engage with the international students and understand their challenges and gaps. So yeah, I really engaged with my local member of parliament and my Multicultural Council of Wagga Wagga and everyone. And they were also very welcoming. And also, I must confess, and I keep on telling everybody, And my second guilt was because I really wanted to meet my local member of parliament. And in India, it's a big thing because you need to take an appointment and there is like a huge waiting list. And I thought this is a quick chance. If I engage or if I talk to them, there is a chance I might get my appointment very quickly. But I realized in Australia it's so different because you don't have such waiting lists. You can spontaneously call your local member of parliament, have a quick chat with him, which was really great.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's awesome that, I mean, congratulations on, the being elected and, making history. That's all fantastic. And, being interested in the local politics and of course, making a great impact along the way. When you started with the Multicultural Council, you said they were very welcoming. What are some of the early signs that, this was the organization that was right for you and that it was, inclusive?
Okay, so when I first started, I know that there were some celebrations happening in Australia. That was like Harmony Day, Refugee Week, and everything. And I had no idea what they were. But I knew that these events were very inclusive and engaging, and they always wanted to welcome new migrants and new refugees and any new international students. So I checked with them. With the local stakeholders, with my local Multicultural Council of Wagga Wagga, with the City Council, and they invited the international students. So we had some days of celebrations. We celebrated Harmony Day together. So that was really good because the university and the local community were coming together for the very first time. So that was interesting. And then we were part of some of the local celebrations. We invited people and the ones who were interested in engaging with international students to the university functions. So that was really good. And then I remember I was part of racism day as well. There's a say no to racism campaign. So I was one of the facilitator over there. And then I try to engage with my, like, since I'm a Muslim, so we had a Marwa community, and we had Isar, which is the student body in the university. So I really got to involve with a lot of local clubs in my uni, and I always made sure that all the local clubs in the universities, they were accessible to the students as well. And also I realized that there was a gap in my, because living in a regional place, you have a lot of challenges and gaps as well. So I realized that there was a gap because most of the people coming from a different country, they had no clue where like Services Australia is, where like Centrelink is, or where the health resources are. So I thought that it's always good to have like something like a welcome to the country ceremony. So I really advocated for it. And then my local council was very supportive. So we had welcome to Wagga function, and I was invited as a speaker, though realized that I was too early in my career as well as in my volunteering efforts. But still, that was really good because we had a platform where we had like New South Wales Police, New South Wales Health, different like Department of Communities and Justice, so many different departments coming together, and where people can feel that this is a safe environment to ask questions, and they can contribute to the maximum capacity, which was really great.
Amazing. And I love that it sounds like when you say coming together, I think that's really important. It sounds like a lot of what's helped make that happen is you and your initiative as well, which is fantastic. How do you feel that you are helping to make people maybe feel less lonely, feel like they have a greater sense of belonging in the community? And why is that important to you?
It's really important to understand your local culture and tradition, because unless you understand the place where you are living in, you won't appreciate or respect that particular place, or that the group of people surrounding you. So I always make sure, and because I engage a lot with different stakeholders, also I'm a board member with Multicultural New South Wales, which is fantastic now, because now regional voice is heard on the table. And we do have regional advisory councils. So I do volunteer with many health organizations as well. And being a person from a health background, I can understand. And though I have my health background, I have my financial and health literacy, but still I find that it's really a challenge navigating health resources and getting all the information. So being a person and sitting there as a as an advocate or as a regional board member really helps my community. So during COVID, it was really fantastic because we had so many different forums, and because I'm like a central point, so it was easy for me to engage with like locally with Red Cross, with like Multicultural Council of Wagga Wagga, as well as different organizations. And I was able to advocate what new resources were coming in, and COVID was such a area, it was such a learning curve for everyone. And COVID really opened our eyes to know more about the challenges and the gaps. So yeah, I think sitting on different consumer bodies, and also engaging with them, and I think I'm very upfront, and also I'm very vocal. And the thing is, I don't play with my words, and also I take my failures, as it is, because I think I don't pretend that I know everything. And it's really important, because if you really want to engage or challenge yourself, you need to be very true to yourself, and also to your to the person with whom you're working. So that's really important, because I always feel that failures are the pillars of success, and don't pretend that you know everything. So yeah, I try to engage with my local community. I told them to go and engage, and do volunteer, though it's still a challenge, because if you are coming and you don't have a childcare, you don't have your own car, or in a regional place we have limitation of public transportation. So there are many gaps where people tend to, they would love to volunteer, but because they don't have any financial assistance or any, assistance in different capacity, so they are a bit reluctant to volunteer. But still, I tell them that, if you don't have time, maybe virtually you can volunteer with some of the organizations, or maybe just engage, just attend all the festivals and events which is happening around them. Take your family, because it's always important that you need to address their mental stress as well. Because sometimes, people coming from a different country, we don't tend to speak about the mental health issues, because still we feel that it's a stigma, talking about, or maybe telling that you feel homesick or you're feeling isolated. So it's always important to engage, and and try to mingle with the people, with the surrounding. And I know people living in a regional place, they're really welcoming, and they are really honest and very warm, which I have felt in my Wagga community.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love hearing the challenges, but also the way that you've helped people in the community overcome them. Of course, there's no, simple solution, but I think having someone that they can go to, like you in the community, it's really important that they have that, I guess, intermediary between, the challenge and the solution. In terms of, you've come from Delhi, you're working on a PhD, you have a young child, you're adjusting to a new life. What are some of the personal, I guess, difficulties of volunteering, and how have you personally help manage them with everything that was happening at that time?
So I took every day as a new challenge, because I know, coming from a different country and doing a PhD with limited financial help, because I know, and it was really good, because I got my I didn't have to pay for my PhD tuition fees, and I got stipend, and I was working at the same time in uni. So financially, we were not so much stressed, but still, I had to pay childcare for my daughter, which was really expensive, because half of my stipend was going in the childcare. But still, having said that, I really loved, because I always wanted to study in a foreign country. My husband always wanted a international degree, so, and also living in a regional place, we didn't had a lot of options regarding entertainment. So that was really initially help for us, because then our budget was very limited, and then since there wasn't too much to spend on, so we tried to save as well. But still, having said that, there was like a lot of community events happening around the place, so we would attend those events, meet new people, and then just check with them, because I know I'm really good with social media. So I would check with them, like I'm the publicity officer of my CWA, which, so I know, like, even though if you won't be able to contribute there in terms of your time, you can always contribute in terms of your soft skill. So it's the way, it's your personal instinct, the way you want to contribute. And I'll quote a very interesting example. And again, because I would make comparison, and then I would always feel that it's always good, if I'm doing something in Australia, I'm getting my things done easily as well, because when my daughter started kindies, so I was unsure, how the education system works in Australia, because I haven't studied from here. And then I thought it's better. And then again, coming from India, it's really difficult to get an appointment from a school principal if you really need to check something, or maybe from the school teacher. But in Australia, things are so different. You can easily talk to the school principal, to the school teachers. And then somebody told me about the PNC. So I thought maybe I'll just have a go. I'll see what the PNC meetings are, they are. And when I attended my first PNC meeting, the executives that time, I still remember Ramola, Kristen, they're still my good friends. So they were really happy because they said that hardly a person from a different color, they would attend PNC meetings thinking that it's a very Australian thing. So they were really welcoming and they really helped me in settling in. And that was my first point of contact to meet the school principal, whom I felt that she was really warm. So I did attend a couple of PNC meeting, and then I ended up being the secretary of PNC of my daughter's school. And eventually I became the president. So I was the president of my daughter's PNC for like 3 years. And currently I'm the on the state board. So I'm the whole electorate, Riverina electorate PNC representative of New South Wales PNC Federation. So you start step by step, and then if you feel that your voice is heard and if you feel respected, because the respect is really important for me, because if I feel that I don't feel respect, or if I feel that I'm just sitting there as a checklist, honestly, I won't be attending most of the meetings, or maybe I'll just resign from that particular board. Then if you feel that if your voice is heard, you feel that your feedback and suggestions are really important to the organizations, I tend to stay at that place.
That's awesome. And I love that. I think, in terms of helping other people to overcome their challenges, overcoming, your own challenges, it sounds like, community is really important to that. Being in the community, having a supportive community and being active in that community, which is fantastic. And I think that the attitude that you have around kind of being in the community and being places where you're respected and you have a place that you can feel like you're heard. And if that's not happening, then, maybe moving on. I think that's fantastic. I would love to know about the rewarding sides of the volunteering. What are some of the success stories or the moments that you remember that really, have made it so worthwhile?
Sure. So when I first started with my volunteer, so it was with my university, and because I was very proactive, so I started the International Student Club, and we really engaged well. I invited like RDA Revrina. So RDA is Regional Development Australia Revrina. To attend one of the sessions, engage with the international students. Also, there was a forum where I invited people from like health, from Department of Immigration and Border Protection, just talking about and also from the Fair Work Commission, Fair Work and Ombudsman, because I know international students till date feel that if they report something, they might be deported, which is again a myth. But then they really wanted a safe space to talk about all the challenges. So we had some amazing things happening at the university when I was doing my PhD. And so the university nominated me for New South Wales International Student of the Year award. And I didn't realize that. So I was a finalist, which was again a shock for me, because I didn't realize that I'll be a finalist, because because whatever I have seen in the previous years, usually people from Metro, they were the finalists. So with in a regional place, living with limited resources, I never thought that I'll be a finalist. But anyways, the entire family went at the award ceremony, and I was the winner, which was really a shock for me, because getting the award at Opera House and from the premier was such a fantastic thing. So that was my first reward. Anyway, so the thing is, when you volunteer, you never do anything for awards or any like incentives and all, but you really get happy if you get appreciated. And the thing is, and what I feel for us as a migrant, if you get some rewards or recognition, it really authenticates or the genuinity of your work. So that was my first reward. And then I was nominated for New South Wales Volunteer of the Year in the regional category, and I was overall winner in the regional category. And I always feel that I wish I know the person who nominates me for different categories or different awards, because usually you never know the nominator. But I understand that there might be some of my like people whom I have worked, because I still respect many. And then I was, I was one of the finalists in the 100 Women of Influence Award, which is like national wise. So being, in Australia, being one of 100 is such a big thing. So I was in the Riverina category, in the regional category. And recently, so I had been conferred my Medal of Order of Australia on King's birthday. And so this is such a huge thing. And yeah, and many have told me, and my daughter, she keeps on telling everybody, my mom got this award before she turns 40. And I'm like, come on, you don't need to tell my age. But she really loved it, and I also love and respect the award which has been confirmed on me. And also I think it brings in more responsibility. and more more quest for the work, because you really get a thirst to do more and more, because when you have got the awards and recognition, people expect more from you. And I try to do it, and sometimes honestly I feel that like 24 hours are not they are less, because sometimes there are like heaps of emails, and now I got a baby. But still, the amount of work which I do apart from my professional work is immense, and I enjoy doing it. The thing is, because if you enjoy doing it, so you don't feel any pressure to do those works. So yeah, these are some of the awards which I got, and I really appreciate and admire the other people surrounding me, and especially the teams with whom I work.
And it's incredible. I mean, congratulations. That's, I mean, pretty awesome. And very exciting to think that, winning these awards, you're now thinking what you said that you got a hunger for it, which is great, like to keep going. And I think it's an awesome thing about volunteering is that there's no ceiling, like there's no cap on the amount of people you can help or the impact that you can have doing what you do. And clearly you've had a great impact on your community. And I guess, thinking about, engaging with your local community, what have you loved about engaging with your local community, being in a regional community, engaging with migrants, people from all walks of life? What have you found that you've loved about that?
I really love the respect and dignity which this role carries. And also, I always feel that, if I help one person, and if their life changes, it really gives me a lot of pleasure and happiness, because if you help someone and, their whole family flourishes. So that really gives me, a lot of joy seeing them flourish and seeing them prosper. I really wish, and also coming from India, I always love that it's always important for the kids to understand their roots as well. And so this year I had been selected as an Australian delegate in Australia India Youth Dialogue, which was really great, because, sometimes I feel that, if you live in Australia, and I've seen many people, the thing is they tend to forget their roots, which shouldn't be the case, because, it's always good to know your culture, understand Australian culture, and try to mix and try to be an advocate for both the culture, because it's such a huge blessing to contribute in Australian and Indian context. So that's really important. So I think engaging locally, advocating for your local community, but also making sure that your voice is heard in the governance and decision making process at this state or maybe at the national level is really important. And also, I feel that I always make sure that I make myself a safe environment for everyone, so that they don't have any any reluctant to talk about their own problems, challenges. They should always feel that there is a person whom they can have trust. And also, I don't play with my words, so I'm very straightforward. So I always tell them, these are the gaps, or maybe they need, and I always make sure that I point them in the right direction, rather than keeping them, confused, or maybe giving them false hopes. It's always important to be very true to your role and responsibility.
Great. So it sounds amazing. Like I'm just imagining being someone who needs support from you and just imagining how incredibly awesome that experience would be. It sounds like, safety, honesty, being able to connect with your roots and, be culturally true and true to yourself generally, having respect, being heard. These are all parts of belonging and inclusion. Is there anything else that you would add to that?
Yes, I think also being an open minded, and also I feel that local government and state government need to do more towards the regional population, because if you really wish people to settle in a regional place, you need to understand their challenges, because when we talk about the migrant community, we always talk about the asylum seekers, refugees, and all. But in the long run, we tend to forget international students, the skilled migrant, the one on the sponsored visa, where we have very limited agencies or maybe no agencies at all. So I really wish that the government should proactively engage with the stakeholders, engage, and also making sure that you really have a regional voice on your table, and making sure that all the migrant communities are heard, rather than putting all the resources or concentration on just one cohort of society. And I'm pretty sure that, if you talk to any person who is on any visa, they are happy to share their experience and their challenges with you. The thing is, you need to choose the right person and at the right time. And also, I feel that sometimes it's really important to engage with them directly, because if you engage with the spokesperson of that particular community, there is a challenge, or there is like a barrier, because sometimes things do get commercialized, in tug of war of getting a sponsorship or in the funding. So it's really important to engage truly with the right people and at the right place.
Yeah, and I think those are really great insights, and important to address maybe areas that we could maybe be more balanced in terms of the support that we're giving out. So that's really important to hear. So thank you for sharing that. And till those gaps are addressed, hopefully volunteering is helping to provide support where it isn't currently available. So what would you say to someone who is looking to volunteer?
Center of Volunteering has got huge pool of resources, and I love it. I do volunteer a lot, and I have got like 10 or 12 years of experience, but still I look on the Center of Volunteering website for the resources, because they have got amazing resources, amazing toolkits, everything. The awards and recognition programs are great. So it's always important, and I tell everyone, the newly migrants, as well as the one who are already settled here, to keep on volunteering, keep on engaging, even though if you don't have time, contribute in a different capacity. But it's always important to continue your journey. I know after COVID, it's really, everybody's financially stressed out. I know people have started working, and we are we are just missing that young pool of volunteers, because young people, it's really hard to engage with the young community. And so my daughter, she started volunteering with Cancer Council when she was 4. Until date, I take her everywhere. So it's always important to share the same vibes with the young generation. I think the parents are the best role models for them, the school, the teachers. So it's always important for them to understand the importance of volunteering, apart from the financial gain, because I know money is important, but sometimes you really need to understand your soft skill, because your small contribution can make a big difference in someone's life. So it's always important to engage and yeah, know your local community, know your local clubs, because there are a lot of clubs which are really genuinely dying because of lack of volunteers. So it's always important to know what's happening around you. Just check if any organization needs something, and contribute to your maximum capacity. Even your 10 or 15 minutes can be a boon for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's awesome. I love the idea also of parents being role models, of it being, intergenerational. There's more, the whole family or the whole community can kind of be involved and learn from each other, which is great. And thinking about some of the challenges that people might face in terms of trying to volunteer with organizations. Maybe they have limited time, or, from your personal experience, what has helped volunteering be, accessible or inclusive for you, especially, if you're juggling time commitments or, having new experiences?
Personally, for me, it was my personal instinct to volunteer, because I really wanted to engage locally and understand the local culture and tradition. And also, I wanted to volunteer because I really wanted to help some of the organizations. I know when I first joined my CWA, they were struggling with numbers. So my inclusion in CW, honestly, it's not helping a lot, because I'm just one person, so I won't make that 50 number of being a member. But still, I think that because I got my like social media skill, so I'm happy managing their Facebook page and on their website, everything. So and also, like, so I gave birth like last year. So I got a baby now, and I know, so I access healthcare system. So I know I'm a good consumer advocate if I really need to give some inputs regarding maternity services in a regional place. So, you need to understand your own skills. I always do a SWOT analysis of every situation. And coming from a different country, when my daughter started school, I knew that it was really hard for me to understand the school system. So I joined my local PNC. So, your personal situations really take you to the volunteering roles. And once you enjoy it, once you get you feel respected and you feel valued, your opinion matters, then you tend to stay in that particular place. So for me, my personal situations, my personal circumstances, and I think the hunger to know more, yeah, it's that really helped me in volunteering, and that really helped until date. It's really helping me, though. Um, I do struggle at times with my family responsibilities, with my baby and all, but still I feel that if somebody has put a trust in you, and they feel that, and because if you're sitting at a particular position as a consumer advocate, or as a as a board member or something, so you had been appointed, or you had been you had just contested that position, and if you're sitting there in that particular position, that means people have faith and trust in you. So I really feel that I should be contributing to my maximum, rather than disappointing them, or rather than they should be rethinking that they made a wrong choice. So I always try to live up to their expectation, and contribute to the maximum capacity, unbiased, which is really important, because you always need to be unbiased. So it's not always my opinion, but it's the opinion of the people living in a regional place. So even though sometimes you don't agree with a particular situation, but then it's not always about me, but it's always about the local community and the local engagement.
Yeah, fantastic. So it sounds like, having a reflection on what your personal capacity is and, trying to give as much of that as you can, and meeting the expectations and the needs of the community have helped. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think a great note to end this on. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for everything that you've done in the community. It's incredible the work that you've done, really been recognized for what you've been able to achieve. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your perspective with us today.
You've been listening to Voices of Volunteering, presented by the Centre for Volunteering. For resources, tools, training and news, head over to our website volunteering.com.au.